What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to our YouTube. Now, please do a favor for me. Drop a like, subscribe my channel, and go on notification bell if you do not want to miss a video I post. Please do that favor for me, and thank you. I'm Jordan Harris, and I'm giving a big shout out to bring in the new year. So I hope you guys had an amazing holiday break, spending time with family and friends, and also relatives. And also, I'm happy we're in 2021. So, welcome to 2021. I'm happy. We're almost the pandemic is almost over, and we need to still make sure that our social distancing is in check because there's the coronavirus rates are going up a lot higher because things are not really going well with social distancing. So let's make sure we keep doing that and keeping ourselves safe and healthy. So that's why I want to give another shout out to being safe and healthy for anyone you're close to. And thank you for hearing my shout. And now let's go on to the review. And today's review, we are reviewing Quentin Tarantino film. And Quentin Tarantino is a famous director who directed many movies such as Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, and the Kill Bill movies. But there's one movie that had many people started jaw dropping and a little bit confused about this movie. And this was pretty some say this was pretty controversial. So today I'm reviewing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And just comment down below who your favorite Hollywood celebrity is. So let's get on right into the video of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And here's how the story goes. The plot of the story is mostly about two characters who are not real. The two fictional characters are named Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. Rick Dalton is an action star who plays in an old 1950s Western show called Bounty Law, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And we have a stunt double who have Rick Dalton's stunt double, who is also his best friend, named Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt. Now, both of these characters are pretty hilarious and pretty enjoyable to watch on the big screen. Seeing these two interact with the real actual celebrities in Hollywood during the 1960s, which is during the time period in this movie, and well, it's pretty great. So for now, let's start off with the characters. First off, let's start with Rick Dalton. Rick Dalton is talking to his agent, and his agent told him that he was famous in the 1950s with his Western show Bounty Law, but now during the 1960s, which is 1969, he is struggling with his acting career, and many people are not into his Western show anymore. So they thought maybe he should be better in he should be featuring in Italian movies, but Rick Dalton did not like that idea. For Cliff Booth, on the other hand, he's just super interesting in this movie. I mean, Rick Dalton, he's okay, but for Cliff Booth, super interesting because Brad Pitt, he is an amazing actor and played an amazing role of this stunt double who hangs out with Rick Dalton and is an older person than him, and also many people are spreading rumors about him killing his own wife, but I don't know if that's true or not because they're two fictional characters. He's a fictional character, so we just don't know. But let's get to the real point of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This movie may be about these two guys, Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth, but actually not just that. They didn't mention one big thing in that film, and that was the Sharon Tate murders, the Manson family. Now, who are the Manson family? Charles Manson was the cult leader of the Manson family, who mostly gathered a bunch of young teenage girls and made them into hippies and made them into crazy people. And speaking of Sharon Tate was a young actress to a married to a Polish director named Roman Polanski. And when Roman Polanski was out filming a movie in France, Sharon Tate was hanging out with her friends, including her ex-boyfriend, in at her house. Now, the Manson murders broke into this house and killed Sharon Tate and her friends, including her baby she was pregnant with. And it was just a horrible, horrible crime. A real crucial, devastating crime that went totally extreme, because we never expected this sort of crime in Hollywood, because, well, outside of Hollywood, well, in other places during the 1960s, there were lots of crimes during that time period, and many political problems happened, like political leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, and his brother, Robert F. Kennedy. These people were assassinated during that time because of political stuff. So, mostly, the 1960s was a rough year, even when the Vietnam War was during that time period, drafting many young men to join the war who had no idea what they were doing, but it was all dangerous and bloody. And that's what mostly Quentin Tarantino is mostly for in his movies. He's mostly famous for blood. That's right, blood. The main part of Quentin Tarantino's movies is blood. Like you see in horror movies, but mostly in Quentin Tarantino's movies, which mostly has to do with maybe a war or crime or anything that has to do with any violence. But yeah, like I said, true facts about Sharon Tate. She was an actress and she was killed by the Manson family, including her friends. Yeah. It was so horrible, so horrible. I mean, when Charles Manson was arrested and was on trial, the girls who were the Manson murders were trying to say that Charles Manson was innocent, but, well, it wasn't worth it, because he just went to jail and died in jail a few years ago. But anyway, yeah, that was the true story about her death. But this all changed in this movie. And almost like at the end of the movie, we see Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth hanging around in the house, and the Manson murders, instead of going to Sharon Tate's house, they were going to Rick Dalton's house, and they just saw Cliff Booth trying to feed his dog when all of a sudden one of the Manson family had Rick Dalton's wife as hostage. So, what did Cliff Booth do? Beat the crap out of them. Just like he did with Bruce Lee in one of the scenes in the movie where he was fighting Bruce Lee. Yeah, that's right, a martial artist versus a stunt double. And yeah, like what he did to Bruce Lee, Cliff Booth beat the crap out of them. I mean, his dog attacked them. Also, he smashed one of the hippies' heads on different objects, and threw a can full of dog food at someone's face. And yeah, seriously, don't mess with Cliff Booth, because he can totally take you down. Then, one of the hippies were still alive, so Rick Dalton saw one of them still moving around, and he went to his tool shed, and guess what he had? flamethrower, which was a movie prop in one of his movies that he did, and just torched one of the hippies. And it was so over the top. And I was like, what's he gonna do to that hippie? And he just came out with that flamethrower and just burnt her to a crisp, just burnt her down. And it just made me like, holy crap. I'm like, what is this film? And what the heck is going on? But that doesn't matter because so far it occurred to me that it was super interesting. It was super surprising to watch this scene because you would expect them to recreate that scene in real life with Sharon Tate being killed. But mostly Quentin Tarantino, his movies mostly have a happy ending. And when you say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you mean it by like a fairy tale story. You're telling the story like in a fairy tale. And you know how fairy tales go. Fairy tales always have to go with happy endings. That was the happy ending. Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton, who were both the heroes in the movie, took down the Manson family and saved Sharon Tate's life. At the end of the movie, Rick Dalton finds his neighbor, Sharon Tate, who is next door to Rick Dalton's house, and invites him for a drink. And that was pretty much the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because, well, you know, just like I said, all fairy tales have to have a good ending. And that's the true part. It's like watching a Disney movie when you see like let's say Snow White was a apple, and then the crazy witch she fell to her death, and the prince gave her a kiss, and she fell in love with him and lived happily ever after. Just like in this film, two men taking down a bunch of young hippies, and then Sharon Tate invited one of them over for a drink, and it's like, that's the end of the movie. It's mostly just about two guys, and then later on in the movie, they just do the violent part, which is fighting the hippies, and that's the main part of the movie. And also, I just thought Margot Robbie's part as Sharon Tate, she did an amazing job as Sharon Tate. She looked like Sharon Tate. She acted like Sharon Tate. And mostly, when I started watching this movie, I'm like, who the heck is Sharon Tate? And what does this have to do with anything about this? And most of all, she's like mostly one of the main things about this movie, about having this sort of special friendship, trying to be in a good friendship with Rick Dalton throughout the movie, but mostly he just ignores it. And still, during that time, he was just really upset because his acting career was going to rock bottom. So I guess that's why he was neglecting that friendship offer from her. But mostly at the end, things got a little better, and he came to his senses and stopped having this sort of depression from his acting career. And that's pretty much the main thing about this movie. I just wanted to say about what was the main thing about this movie that was super interesting, and some that didn't make any sense. But most of all, sometimes Quentin Tarantino's movies may make sense in the first scene, but in the next scene, it may go way off. And I just think he just did an amazing job about making this movie and made it into a positive triumphant ending in that film, and it did deserve to have to be a Academy Award winning movie for its production design and the supporting actor, which is Brad Pitt. And well, yeah. So if you haven't seen this movie, I would recommend this movie because this was pretty good. I there's nothing to say else about it. It was super amazing. Super great. It was a good cast, a great performance, and it's like half nonfiction, half fiction, because you have some things that are real, but the other things that are mentioned in this movie are not real. So just keep that in mind and find some research more about what you didn't know about this movie, because they have a lot of things that you may know about this or may not know about this. That's the main thing about Quentin Tarantino's movies. Sometimes he can do it based off of a real, true event, and then make it into something fictional. And I think it's pretty good what he did. I mean, for movies like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, a lot of people said they were really good, but I just didn't think it was good. But when I saw the movie Django Unchained, it was pretty good. So I would recommend that movie too. But anyway, just comment down below. Who is your favorite Hollywood celebrity? Comment down below with your thought about who your favorite celebrity is in Hollywood. And please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for joining me today. And again, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. And I'm happy I reviewed this movie for you. And I'm sorry about this, but you've been spoiled about this movie. So there's no turning back. But anyway, like I should have mentioned, if you haven't seen this movie, stop watching this video. I should have mentioned that, but just warning you, sometimes I may not mention that because sometimes you may always be warned about the spoilers. So make sure you think about that way. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.